Hey guys, this is Lucas with Better Coding Academy, and in this video of Bite-Sized JavaScript, we will be going over Prettier. Now, Prettier is something that I highly recommend. I use it on a daily basis within Visual Studio Code, and I know many professional environments that use this technology as well. So, what does Prettier do? Well, it formats your code in a specific way based on a configuration, and it supports quite a wide variety of languages, such as JavaScript, including support for JSX, Flow, TypeScript, JSON, Vue, Angular, less SCSS, style components, style JSX, GraphQL schemas, which is pretty cool, Markdown, YAML, and a whole bunch of community plugins as well. In terms of editor support, you have support for Atom, Vim, Emacs, Visual Studio, Espresso, VS Code, which is my personal choice, Sublime Text, and WebStorm. So these are all the editors that it supports, and there are probably other ones as well that are supported by the community, and it's all open source on GitHub, so you can check that all out. But in this video today, I will be showing you how to use Prettier within Visual Studio Code. So I've got Visual Studio Code over here, and I've got a JavaScript file here that isn't very well formatted. I've got a React file, which, well, is JavaScript, but it contains some JSX, and I've also got a JSON file here as well. So the first step is to install Prettier. Now, in order to do this, you can open up the command palette, which you can do by pressing Command-Shift-P, or if you're on Windows or Linux, you can press Control-Shift-P, and I have install extensions up here, but you can just type that as well. So just to open that over here, and then if you just type in Prettier, you'll notice that Prettier should come up over here like so, and you can just click install on that, or you can click on this to have a look and read through it, and then click install. Installing should be really quick, and then let's come back here, and we've got our 3 files. Now, in order to use Prettier, what I personally like to do is open up the command palette again, go to Open Settings UI, and inside of here, I'm going to type in Format, and then I'm going to check Format on Save. Now, this will use the formatter if it's available. So because we just installed Prettier, we now have a formatter, so that when we save, we will format the file immediately. So now, inside of jsfile.js here, if I just press Command S, you'll notice that my whole file gets formatted like so. And if I do the same thing for my React, you'll notice the changes that it makes here, like so. This became double quotes, this came on this line, we added in round brackets here, and just became a lot neater. And the same thing would happen for my JSON file here. We can also try GraphQL file, .graphql. Let's just write query.graphql. And say we have a query here like so, and then we want to select names, and then, or users, and then we select ID, name like so. If we press Command S, you'll notice it formats the query for us like so. So it supports all of the languages out of the box. Now let's have a look at the configuration options for Prettier. The way I'm going to showcase configuration here is through a file called Prettier.rc. So Prettier.rc, if we have a look at the documentation here, under usage, you can find the docs, but we're going to have a look at options over here. Configuration file. So you can use many different types of configuration files, but we're going to use .prettier.rc, and we're going to write it in JSON in this particular video. Now you can use any of these, and it's totally up to you, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to have a look at this one. Let's first create the file. So new file here, .prettier.rc, and once that opens up like so, we're going to close the other ones. And we have a couple options here. So we have print width, which is a change using API override like so, and I'll show you how to do that. So I've put in this line here, and now this line here, if you notice, if I go down here, you'll notice that it's 106 characters long. So if I go into Prettier.rc and I type print with even 105, for example, so by default it's 80, but even if I use 105 and I paste this here and I click save, you'll notice that it goes down onto the line here. But if I type 120, you'll notice what happens is if I just paste this line again and I press save, it stays all on one line because this hasn't exceeded the print width. However, if I were to keep adding, say O15, and then P would be 16, now this is at 121 column, and so just put one more Q17, you'll notice that it comes down onto the next line. So this is the Prettier configuration we're using here, and that is how it affects it. And if I do 150 and press save here, it actually won't come back up. So this is one of the things with Prettier, is when it deals with objects, it actually respects you to some degree. But if you were to put it back onto the line, you'll notice it comes back up like so. But if you were to do that, then it comes down. So that's just a little thing about Prettier that I've picked up over my course of using it. So that's print width. And now let's keep looking down here. We've got tab width as well. So this is just the number of spaces per indentation level. Let's use the React file here as an example. If I go in here, let's just put this back to 80, and then say we got tab width of 4. Then if I press save inside of here, you'll notice it comes all the way out. So just one more note here is that Prettier RC should be in the root folder of Visual Studio Code here. So this is why it's getting picked up, because you named it .prettierrc and it's in the root directory here, so that when you save inside this file, VS Code will automatically figure out the settings from here. So we can also do tab width on 2 to change it back, and you see how that one actually got changed because Prettier formats its own file as well. So that's pretty cool. The other one is whether or not to use tabs. So these ones here currently are using spaces, whereas if I go here and type use tabs and change that to true, then you'll notice what happens is if I save, these things become tabs, and you notice I can only select the whole tab like so, whereas if I type false, you'll notice that these ones become spaces and I can select them individually. Semicolons here is another option, so you can type semi, and then say change this one to false, then you'll notice that these ones here will disappear, like so. So there are more options down here, and I can keep going down through the whole list, but essentially what I'm doing here is I'm using this value here, so use tabs or semi or single quote, and these ones just allow you to change the options for Prettier and to configure them based on your project. But I just wanted to make a quick video showcasing Prettier and this particular method of configuration within VS Code. This has been Lucas with Better Coding Academy, and see you guys later.